I'll tell you all about it. That was real good. That was money, first of all. Let's do another.
Welcome to the Real Review 3000, guys. We are live right now, and I have with us our special guest today. It's a Vase Productions, or is it? It's a Vase Production. Which is it?
I leave that up to whoever to decide. I'm not picky.
I see. So incognito about it too. Well, we're here with another episode of The Gospel According to Chris, and today we're talking about Batman. And as always, we have our on-air moderator, Sean Stackhouse, the other half of the Real Review 3000. Sean, say hi to everybody really quick.
What's up, guys?
Okay, and with our special guest here, we're going to let him announce who he is and go ahead and tell you a little bit about him and his channel. Go right ahead.
It's a Vase Productions, mostly just go by Vase, but we do a lot of reaction to trailers and stuff like that. But what I'm actually excited to do, I've been doing it once a week, and I'm going to keep doing it, is doing alternative trailers and things like that. For instance, I put out a Batman trailer in the style of the Logan trailer with Johnny Cash's Hurt. And I'm working on a couple different things right now, but I've done a couple Batman on recently, and so now I'm excited to talk about Batman. So
yeah, I've seen that. I mean, I've seen the you did the one that's kind of the Suicide Squad. I think you did.
I call that one Joker Squad. They use all from Nolan's villains, basically, but with the Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, and then I saw the other one with the Dark Knight. I think it was Rises. Was it? That you did, or was it just a regular Dark Knight? But I mean, you've done like 3, haven't you, from that series, right? Yeah.
The first one that I did was just I took the music from the new Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
Oh, that's right.
And I did like a Heath Ledger Joker version of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first one I did, and then the Joker Squad one version with the Bohemian Rhapsody song was the second one, and then the Dark Knight Rises in the style of Logan's Hurt. I called it Bruce Wayne since it's not calling them by their superhero name.
Yeah, no, that was, I mean, I've seen those and they were all really good. And, I like doing things like that too. It's like, you're reimagining something that's already out there, but you're doing it in your own vision. And it's always fun to do that. It's a creative outlet that makes it really nice and really fun to, do that. So,
yeah.
All right. So let's get started with talking about Batman in general and what makes it appealing to us and just other people. I mean, what do you think makes Batman really good to watch? What is it that you like Batman for?
Well, for me, I just remember when I was a kid, it was Batman or Superman, or maybe the two of them. If I was lucky, Justice League was on, but Batman, the animated series, was where I really fell in love with Batman. But I really preferred him over Superman because, like, Superman was just huge and strong. He could do anything. Batman had to, like, dodge things sometimes. Like, he didn't, he wasn't just this Superman. He was just a regular man, but wearing a bat costume. And, like, what the heck is going on? So I could, and he was, that level of what's wrong with this guy, the I think kind of draw, and the villains too, just the most compelling villains I think in all of, I don't know, I think all of that stuff kind of drew me to it, as well as some of the humor that's in it, which is people don't expect. But yeah,
I think some of the best villains because they're more I don't know, you can sympathize with some of them. They weren't all just horribly bad. They just, you kind of wondered, you could see yourself in them. I mean, I think a lot of people can look at, different, like for instance, Mr. Freeze, he lost his wife. He was trying to do something for a good cause, and then it backfired on him. And that kind of makes people, when things like that, especially something that involves a loved one, backfires on you, and you're so closely held with research or whatever, that could really backfire you in a way that really twists your mind and makes you go bonkers. I mean, I think that, yeah, definitely.
That was how one of the Joker's iterations too was that he was just doing it to try and like make some money for his pregnant wife or whatever, and then he ends up in this situation that he never expects to be in, and then gets kicked into a vat of chemicals, and it's like, and then that's like what the Killing Joke is all about, and he's that's why he tries to convince Batman that like anyone can like go mad or whatever, become like one of these people just with one bad day is all it takes. And that's the whole thing about Batman is like just the villains of Batman are just Batman if he decided to go the other way.
Exactly.
If he just he's
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like he's basically just one of them. He just happens to like be the only one that's actually fighting. And then there's several. Obviously, there are other superheroes and other, but for him, it's not as it's also that like anger that he has that never goes away.
So Sean, what would you say makes it so people like Batman?
I'm not really sure if I can just narrow it down to a handful of things, because Batman is one of the deepest secretive characters that I have followed since my childhood, and there are a few different. It depends on who's writing him, to like how deep you go into his psyche, but I don't know. I like the more dark and brooding Batman as opposed to the comical, bang pow, 60s Batman.
Yeah.
And I used to watch those in reruns, and I enjoyed them as a kid, just like, everybody else. Adam West, he was the Bright Knight. Michael Keaton was the Dark Knight. But yeah, I don't know. There's just so much about Batman to really like. Like, one thing that I noticed pretty early on is, Batman, he doesn't smile, but he smirks. And if he smirks at you, you're about ready to get some ribs broken.
He's having a good time.
Yeah, it's all really. You need to pay attention to his facial expressions. Even in the first Keaton movie, I noticed that he would smirk. His
eyes and his smirk.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's really all you have to work with under the cowl, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of one of the funny things. We can get to that later. I mean, I think we should start. And we will get to the comics and the animated series here. But let's start with The Bright Knight, Adam West. I mean, no matter what you want to say about the series, it was campy. It was written joke. It was a joke. When they wrote it, they didn't. I don't think. If I remember right, I've read that they didn't think it was really going to do anything, and then it became this like sensation instantaneously. And they ended up making a movie, and so technically the first big screen movie of Batman was Adam West's Batman. But
1953 version.
Yeah, well, that's true. No, they did have that one.
What version?
I think there was a version back in 1943. I don't know.
Well, they were just serials that played. Yeah. They weren't actual movies.
No, they played before the movies, I think. But yeah, but but with Adam West, let's start with Adam West and the boom, the pows, and all that stuff. Campy or not, this was some people's first introduction to Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And in all, do you think that it's true to the characters?
Vase, you go first.
Well, it's like, look at also the other kind of comics and stuff that were being made at that time, and like look at Spider-Man from that time, and like I'll say that like Batman was hardly the only character being done that way at that time.
But I mean, they were still doing the comic books, and the comic books were still. Now, yes, they did have a line that was more like Adam West's version, if I remember right, but they did still have the darker Batman at the time too.
And the only thing I'll say about that is I think for like as far as television production
Hmm.
goes, what can they actually afford to do? And that's why it's like, yeah, I'm sure they would have liked to make the Dark Knight back then.
Well, I mean,
But
well,
it's impossible, you know. Well,
well,
I was constrained by the technology of my time.
well, think about this. They did make, in my opinion, for the time and for what the cost was, they made a pretty convincing Batcave. Yes, the campiness,
yeah.
everything labeled.
The Batmobile is awesome.
The Batmobile was basically the inspiration for Keaton's Batmobile. That's where they started the idea with, and subsequently, every Batmobile in movies has always had a jet engine in the back.
Yeah, I think
what's funny is that came from Adam West's Batman.
I think it was in the comic books. Atomic batteries of power, turbines of speed. You know, that whole spiel.
Yeah, but I'm talking. I mean, and that could be. I mean, I'm not as well versed at the comics as like you are, Sean, and maybe you are, Vase. But you know, I just know that that's a reoccurring thing there, and I think that everything went back. I know that I read that the Batmobile from Batman in '89 was basically the concept started from the '60s TV series. That's where they started.
That makes sense because, like you said, that was a lot of people's first introduction to Batman. Was this, you know, Adam West thing? So obviously, if they're, you know, you have to work with what people are familiar with, and so they're going to take a combination of that plus with the darker side of the comics. Now that they can actually like do that, now they're doing a feature film, we can do that. And I think as far as like the TV show goes, when you ask like, did they stay true to the character? Obviously, yeah, they did. Like, no matter how much like camp was thrown in, like at the end of the day, he solved crimes using like knowledge and gadgets, and he had a bat car and a bat cave, and you know, it's not like they destroyed his character or anything. They just, it was like it's not like it was a parody. It's, you know, it was just campy.
And I think that ultimately I mean, and I can't wait to be proven wrong in future movies. But I think ultimately, whenever you involve Robin in like a live action, I think there's going to be an element of camp, because I mean, just the whole, you know, taking
Back
on,
and forth.
yeah, and taking on a ward.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily campy, but involving him in your crime fighting stuff, you know, and he becomes the boy wonder and whatnot. That's just a little bit cheese.
Did you watch Young Justice?
Yeah.
Do you remember the part where like Wonder Woman's criticizing him for taking on Robin, and it's like, and you started him at crime fighting at the ripe old age of like, I don't know, like 11 or 12 or something like that. It's like, what, you wanted him to become just like you? And Batman goes, no, I didn't. I'm just like, well, maybe that's it. Okay, if that's his reason for doing that, like, okay, you crazy motherfucker.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I like Batman by himself. Robin, not so much.
The lone Dark Knight, the guy who doesn't like working with anyone.
You know, I don't mind Robin as long as they match him to the style that Batman is. You know, when they did Batman and Robin, God forbid we talk about that movie and the bat nipples and all the crazy stuff in that, which I said in one of our old intros, we will talk about bat nipples, unfortunately. But if you had done that more to the style of the '89 Batman, if you'd made it like Batman Returns, or even Christopher Nolan had brought in a character, it would have been darker. It would have been more like the Nightwing. He would have been a much darker character with Batman. Mm-hmm. And perhaps you do something where you don't necessarily make them the dynamic duo as much as you make them, you know, Dick Grayson or whichever version of Robin you want to take. That person, of course, is at Wayne Manor, but Batman doesn't necessarily know that it's him, and he doesn't know it's necessarily Bruce Wayne, and they're both out doing the same thing, and they occasionally work together, but you don't know that, you know, if they were to find some way to do that, where they were still very separate, but at the same time came together at a point in a movie, that might have made it work. But I think the unfortunate side for the movies is when they added him in with the way they did it. Batman and Robin was just a bunch of catastrophes in a row that happened.
But they added him in Batman Forever first.
Yeah, and I think it was handled better in a way, but it became campy immediately. And maybe that's because
yeah, well, I remember specifically sitting in the theater watching that, and Chris O'Donnell was like, "Holy rusted metal, Batman," and he's like, "What?"
And they had to throw that in there, and it's like, oh god,
yeah.
But Robin is a completely separate entity, and if it's done right,
he's good. Here's the thing. With Batman, his parents are dead, and that's the only reason that he cares about anything, right?
mm-hmm.
So that's his whole mission. Well, then how do you give this guy anything personal to care about other than a love interest who's a female, who normally he just blows off because he can't let anyone know my secret, or he instantly gives it away too quickly and is an idiot about it. But like, who can he possibly care about? He has no family other than Alfred. So what? Do you have Alfred get kidnapped or whatever? Do all the time? You got to have someone for him to actually care about. Like, show that this guy isn't just purely. And like now, not other people say no. He is just purely a guy that goes out and beats the crap out of scum all the time, and he has no.
I did a thing about that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just saying it gives him like that other side of like caring about something or someone, and then when that's taken away, again, it's like losing his parents all over again. It makes him like go over that edge. It's a way to send him over the edge again. And that's why Joker like beating the crap out of him.
But according to the Batman the Animated Series lore, Batman is the actual real personality. Bruce Wayne is the mask, and
right.
Batman does not get close to anyone. Now, people in the league, they know his identity, not necessarily because he let them know, but like Clark figured it out, and I forget how Wonder Woman eventually found out, but I think maybe those are the two big ones that know. But I think for Batman, the motivation is very much justice. If there's a threat coming into Gotham, or if he's with the League, if there's a threat in the League, or in the world with the League, I think he's very much motivated by that. I think Batman's biggest thing is that he does not want it to become personal, because things get sloppy and he could possibly get messy. That's something he's very, very very strict with himself, and I don't think that that's something that he would really allow. I think that's why he's very much single all the time.
I agree with you a lot, actually, on what you just said, and that raises a question for me. What do you think about this rise in the myth that like Batman never kills?
No, I think Batman does kill.
Yeah, no, he's done it. People wanted to jump on Ben Affleck's version of of Batman, but the thing is that, and Sean and I discuss this all the time, Batman Returns, he has that pogo stick that comes out of the bottom of the Batmobile, turns around, what does it do? It burns two people. You can't tell me they lived through that.
And on the Batmobile, he's got like the guns that come out like
and
those are guns.
He says, "Here, hold this," and he hands him a time bomb and kill. You can't say the guy lived. I mean, they may not show it directly.
And also people say about in Christopher Nolan's films, he doesn't kill. And I'm like, okay, at the end of Batman Begins, he's talking to Ra's al Ghul, and he's like,
he says, "I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to let you live."
And if people say that not telling someone something is a lie of omission, then that was a kill of omission. And
exactly.
Yeah. So I want to go back really quick to the Bruce Wayne thing and the need, or what his mission is, or what does he do? Why does he do what he does? And you said he needs something else, like a Robin or something to continue, somebody to protect.
No. I was just saying that helps show a different side of him.
Okay. But I have always been under the impression, and I'm only going to mention this for 5 seconds in my Batwoman trailer reaction. I even mentioned that at the end of it. You cannot take a character like they are with Batwoman and gender swap. and make her exactly the same. Because then what else? What is she doing? What's the purpose?
Well,
But the purpose is that with Bruce Wayne and with Batman, more to the point, he is protecting Gotham because he is seeing Gotham as something that is unprotected. Because if even his own parents couldn't be protected in Gotham, how can the people who are less fortunate be protected? He looks at Gotham as his responsibility. So every person in Gotham, he feels responsible for. And I think that's it. So the story changes no matter what, because it's a different person in this one, or it's a different this. But what they do is they add the villains in there, because the villains are always going after different things. Some are after money, some are after just pure mayhem and chaos. Others are there to put people in peril. And occasionally they pull, like Jim Gordon's daughter in it. Occasionally it's Catwoman.
Barbara. She's Batgirl.
Yeah, and then Batgirl. So they pull these different characters in occasionally, and in the comic books and in the animated series, they did a really good job of that. They weren't the main focus. Batman was still the main guy, but they threw other people for that very reason, which you were saying. But I still think the underlying purpose is he is out to protect Gotham, and I think it's because he felt that Gotham wasn't safe for anyone. If it wasn't for because his parents, the people with the most money in town, the people that own things, the people that saved Gotham, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, and he feels responsible for their deaths.
Exactly. So, but he does view Gotham in general as an entity that he has to protect because it couldn't protect other people. And I think that's what I think that's his underlying reason is it's just Gotham, which is why I call BS on the part in Batwoman where it says he's left us, and they might explain what they mean by that. But I'm not really interested in watching that because I think they're just gender swapping.
Here's the thing. When you said, you can't just have someone gender swap, it's like, well, I'm not saying you can't do that. But if you're going to do that, don't allude to the person that was doing it just before you. Make it like its own character or make it a new iteration or something like that.
And that's what I said. You can't.
And then the second thing is, the second thing is, if you are still going to even then do that, don't then have her say things like, I'm not going to let a man take credit for what I'm doing. Yeah. When you're assuming his identity and doing things, and the only reason people are assuming it's him is because you're wearing the crap that he made and did for years. What the hell?
Really quick, let me address.
There's no self-awareness there.
Thomas Gilkey says Michael Keaton and Kevin Conroy are the only two acceptable answers. And let's see, Hoff is here, Hoff Solo, Mara Jade. Let's see. Mary Mayhem. She sounds like a really good Batman villain. Mary Mayhem.
It sounds like a Joker spinoff.
Yeah, Deranged Lunatic is here.
Another one.
And let's see.
A little on the nose.
Looks like Drunk Ricio's here. What's up, Drunk?
Drunk.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Solo here. Also, my partner in crime. All right, what were saying?
What was your last point, Drunk or Hoff? Not Hoff. Vase. I read too many names. Jeez.
So, I agree with the gender swap and the thing. What I said is that if you're going to switch this, you can't allude to the person before. In other words, there's a scene in the trailer that her dad says you're young Bruce Wayne or whatever, and it's like, why are you mentioning this? Don't talk about him if he's not in this. Don't talk about him. He's gone. Whatever, fine. But everything about this alludes to she is basically Bruce Wayne taking Batman's place. So you're gender swapping it, and she has no cause that you know of except for that possibly her girlfriend is just kidnapped. All
right, hold on, just a second. It's not necessarily. I see what you're going for, but it's not necessarily pure gender swap because they're pulling this from the New 52 comics, and but in the New 52 comics, Kate Kane she financed herself. She had her own gear. She was inspired by Batman. She didn't take over for Batman like she's doing in this.
That's entirely something different. That's
exactly what I'm saying.
That sounds good. I would watch that.
The way that they're doing this is pure gender swap.
It's more than that. It's not pure gender swap. It's not pure gender swap like Sean was just saying. Okay, Batman's still out there. We don't know where he is. He's not being himself because otherwise he'd be there protecting him. But it's not pure. This is a new person, but she's literally taking his stuff, and then she's saying, I don't want people to just assume it's him doing this. I'm not going to let him take credit for what I'm doing.
This isn't pure gender swap. It's a woman trying to play as if she is Batman.
Right. If they would have actually followed closer to the comics, that would have been a stronger female,
much stronger
than what they're giving us now. Now we haven't seen.
Is it Batman? And then she shows it was like, it's Batwoman, run!
Right, and then she seemed offended for people thinking she was Batman. Well, first of all, he's your cousin, and secondly, you went in. Yeah, she went in and she stole all of his tech. So of course they're going to think that
you look just like him. You were wearing his suit.
Mm-hmm.
But if they would have made this for like a streaming service, instead of the CW, because the CW is just getting horrible. If they would have made this something like Swamp Thing, more of it
got canceled.
I know, but if they would have made this a little darker and a little more comics accurate, and maybe push a little harder on maybe closer to an R rating, sort of like Doom Patrol.
Source material.
Yes, I think that would have been good. I would have actually really looked forward to that.
For the source material. Do not deviate just because you want to appeal to a certain audience. The audience you're trying to appeal to, if they are not already into the comic or already into the source material, they're not going to watch it.
If you approach a property and you have an agenda of your own, it's going to fail. 9 times out of 10, it's going to fail.
Unless your agenda is, I want to honor this property that I've just been given. I understand that the reason I have it and the reason it exists is because people loved it, and I need to do my best to do good by it.
Well, that's the only agenda. That's the only agenda
that
you
never happens. Yeah.
Oh, I don't say it.
It's so rare. It's so
It's such a rare thing right now. It used to be that when people would take over, or like for instance, Irvin Kershner, when he took and did. When he did Empire Strikes Back, he didn't want to do it originally. He's like, no, I don't want to touch this because I couldn't do this. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to ruin what you've started. And then he finally said, but you can bring these characters to so much more than what I can. And he did it. And that's why we love these characters. It's not because of George Lucas that we love the characters.
George needed help, okay? I will never say that George Lucas is the perfect architect of Star Wars. He's not. He needed a lot of help.
It was his ideas that made what it was, but it was Irvin Kershner that made all the characters they were, and that was awesome. But that's because he honored source material. He didn't deviate. He looked at the natural progression of what somebody should be and said, this is where we're going with it. Let's get back to topic, though. Let's go really quick and let's talk Batman movies. Let's go with your number one Bruce Wayne, your number one Batman, and your number one villain. And if it is the Joker, which Joker do you pick? Vase, you go.
Number one, Michael Keaton.
For Batman or for Bruce Wayne or both?
I'm gonna say for both. In my mind, like Christopher Nolan's trilogy almost, and I mentioned this you two guys before we started, like it almost stands apart. Like then I guess I give, in that case, I don't want to get into the whole thing, but I guess I give my number two place would go to Christian Bale for both of them, just because, like I said, it's like as least campy as you could go. It's like literally if just a billionaire in our world was like, I'm gonna go fight crime, but his psychosis led him to be a bat, and that's why the villains aren't like superpowers or anything like that. They're just like, oh, I can influence you with drugs, or I'm a Bane. He doesn't have like the thing that makes him go like. He's just like a really strong guy.
Mhm.
You know? And that for that reason, I really respect that.
I do too. I think it's a much more real world version of it.
I think it reinvigorated, and for the time period when it was made, if you look at all those movies and like what happened from when they started to when they finished, and what they kind of revitalized the superhero genre. And The Dark Knight is one of the best movies ever. And I don't remember what else we were supposed to talk about, but as far as my favorite villain from Batman is the Joker, and it's an incredibly difficult freaking toss up between. But again, like I say, they stand apart. So like again, Mark Hamill's Joker in the animated series is phenomenal, but Heath Ledger again brought to that film, because the Joker in that film wasn't this guy who fell into a vat of that. He doesn't have any like. He's literally just this guy who. They talked about escalation at the end of Batman Begins, like. Oh, what do you mean escalation? Oh, we start wearing body armor, they start using armor-piercing rounds. We start getting this, they get a tank, you know? You're wearing a mask. And so he's like the next stage of that. Like just literally someone who's insane. Chaos.
I totally agree with you. And I'll accept the answer of splitting them. If you want to go, your favorite of more comic book related would be Michael Keaton, because the characters in his movies are based off of the comic book more.
Yeah.
So if you want to go with that, I totally agree. It's Michael Keaton, number one. I think that I think Val Kilmer did.
Yeah.
You know, Val Kilmer had an okay time at it, and you know, I won't even talk about George Clooney, but
Yeah.
I like Ben Affleck, but again, we went back to more that superhero. You know, there's things going on that aren't real world. But when you look at the two, you do have to separate Nolan's series from everything else, because I think yes, he did the best thing you could of putting a character on screen that is based in a world that does not exist, but because of how you did it, you made this character that was real world. And yeah, he has the money, he has the tech, he has the brains, but your villains, the Scarecrow, is just a guy that's just as psychotic as the rest of the people he's trying to treat, and yet he has this drug that's been given to him by this guy that's a practitioner of the ancient arts that believes that Gotham has to fall, and that's it. There's no real unworldly thing. It's all very believable. You know, there are plants and stuff like that that can do that to you, so you can believe that. And then again, the thing I liked about Ledger's Joker was I think Ledger paid homage to Jack Nicholson, and I think he did it in the best way he could. But when you talk about it again, there is no origin story. They look into his past and said, we can't find out anything about this guy. His clothes are hand tailored. It's the same thing you would believe.
And he made up two different stories when he was threatening people, you know?
Exactly. And it's the same it's the same type of thing that you get from the Joker from the comic books. But what's funny here is, like you said, you have no idea why he has the cuts on his face. You have no idea. There's nothing saying that he is been altered from a human state of any sort. He hasn't been deranged because of chemicals or anything. This is probably just some lunatic out there that just hasn't been caught yet. The one scene where he's not in his makeup. Exactly.
He's a police officer, so it's like he's not. His skin isn't bleached, you know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So again, instead of like Nicholson in Batman in '89. He painted his face on to look more normal. Mm-hmm. But what we're seeing is a guy who's completely deranged, who's painting his face to not look like a person. And so,
or maybe his real personality is the Joker, and that's like Batman, he has to put on his.
Yeah.
Ledger's character said in The Dark Knight, he's an agent of chaos.
I'm an agent of chaos. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fair.
I don't want to kill you. You know, and that's the other thing about this series. But I will say that Bruce Wayne and Batman were played best by Michael Keaton. As far as if you want to go with the comic book side, Christian Bale did a great job with what he was given, and the fact again that they tried to make it really real world. You know, and I liked how they in Christian Bale's they went through and you know, when he's going and looking through the tech that's down in the vault, he's looking at all that stuff and he's trying to figure out how to alter it. They have to order a ton of extras to make it look like it isn't just this one thing.
Yep.
They took a very good care of explaining that this is somebody that knows that if they do too much or if they do too little or if they do this or that, they're going to get caught. It's going to be very obvious. So they're playing real world. Unlike in the comic books, you got this guy who has all this money and he's running around town in this suit with all these gadgets. Well, eventually somebody's going to put it together. Well, who the hell has money to do this?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
And also, I like Batman Begins, how they explained how he was a criminal. Like, he engaged in criminal activities. And, like, Ra's al Ghul asked him, he's like, so do you understand the mind of a criminal? He's like, well, yeah, the first time I had to steal just to eat, you know, I gained a whole new perspective on what it's like to, you know, be a criminal.
But he knew that he had to be one to understand how to fight them.
Yeah, and then that's why he started stealing, but he started only stealing from like shipments of his own company.
Exactly.
So he would join these, and then, so like he wasn't actually ever stealing, but he still took the risk of being caught and like winding up in jail, which is how he ended up in the prison where Ra's al Ghul found him.
So, I mean, I think we're in agreement with the Bruce Wayne and Batman. Sean, I think you're on board with that. No. Who's your favorite Bruce Wayne?
My favorite Bruce Wayne is going to be a tie between Keaton and Affleck. I think Affleck is maybe slightly better, if I were to be honest.
Wow.
I think I would have given it to him if he had maybe his own movie to flesh it out. I think he was constrained by like the nonsense going on with the studio heads and the studio executives and stuff like that, and how they were trying to run the whole program. But as far as his Batman goes, and how he viewed Superman and stuff like that, seeing him train and seeing the stuff he could do, and no matter how much and how hard he trained, and he was still already getting older there, he would never be able to come close to be like Superman. And then he has to rely on things like his mind and like his freaking butler and things like that. And that he does like look out for the safety of the planet and stuff like that. And he was looking out for Gotham, but now he's like, this guy can destroy, you know, and that level of, and the beefiness.
I didn't really care for the beefiness aspect of it, but I liked Affleck, and I was really looking forward to him doing Matt Reeves' the Batman, you know, simply because it was going to be a noir type film, and he was going to really play up the detective aspect, and that's something we haven't really seen yet in live action. And
unfortunately, like you said, Vase, that is the studio heads getting in the way of something that should naturally progress. They should have given Affleck his own movie if they wanted him to develop that character. And then as soon as everything started falling apart after Justice League, it just, now what do you do? Now and what I don't understand about DC Comics, and I know we're going to talk about this on another stream, Sean, so I'm not going to go too deep into this, but the thing I don't understand about DC Comics is that they're forcing this to continue to say, okay, well, we've lost Affleck. We've lost, what's his name that does Flash? I can never say his name right.
Oh, Ezra Miller.
Yeah. Okay. But they've lost these two guys. They've lost the guy that plays Cyborg. But we're going to keep Gal Gadot and we're going to keep Jason Momoa. And we're going to go forward with these guys. Okay. So now what you're going to do is you're going to reintroduce new people later on, maybe, that are going to be Batman, which I want to get to here in just a minute. But you're going to reintroduce new people, and then what? Put them all back together again? It's like, if you're going to reboot.
No, see, the thing is, I don't think they're going to put them back together anytime soon. I think their focus is on solo movies at this point, and if they do sync up, they sync up later on.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. How are you going to sync that up?
But they don't have to, and I don't think they're really worried about it right now, since, you know, Aquaman made $1 billion. Gal's Wonder Woman made over 800 million, and 84 could make $1 billion. You know, Wonder Woman 84.
We're already hearing problems with that now.
No, we're not.
Well,
we're hearing nothing but good with that.
Well,
in fact, Patty Jenkins wants to release it early.
I don't mean problems like with the shooting.
General Zod said, "Why not see how Joaquin Phoenix does as the Joker, then have him be the Joker if he's really good, and then reboot Batman from there?" And there's
Because
no way that's gonna happen.
he's too old, Zod, and you would know that if you weren't in the freaking Phantom Zone.
Lee,
No
just go back
way.
to
That's a standalone movie. That's a good
Call back.
standalone movie. I think it's good that they're branching out and doing standalone movies, but there's no way you reboot from that Joker.
no.
I don't see the movie. I'm interested to see that interpretation of it, but that's all it is an interpretation. It's in no way an expanded universe character.
I think they're just trying to give us something to placate Batman fans. Maybe.
I was actually watching Mecha Random's channel, and she did a video on a rumor of Macaulay Culkin maybe being cast as the Joker for the Robert Pattinson's version.
And I heard that would be. I think that would be good.
Yeah, I think Macaulay Culkin might actually do a good job.
And Robert Pattinson can do it. I'm telling you right now. There's a movie that premiered while I was in Cannes, and it's him and Willem Dafoe in a lighthouse, and it's called The Lighthouse. And that dude, I don't want to say he outacted Willem Dafoe, because that's not what I'm trying to say, but he's good.
Careful, Vase, you're starting to sparkle.
No, dude. And everyone gives him that crap, but like, I gave him that crap myself for a long time. But like, just being in the Twilight series, it doesn't make you a bad person. Okay?
No, I hear you, man. And the thing is, I don't think that he's a bad actor. It's just that physically speaking, I don't see him as Batman. I could see him as Terry McGinnis.
That's
quick.
Oh, that's a good point, and I'd be interested to see where we go with that.
Hold on just a second. We're going to get to that here in a second. I want to talk about the animated series just a little bit. Let's talk about the animated series just a minute. So, of course, it's a different world than the movies and all that, even though it's similar, but it's of course much crazier because they can do more. It's animated. You can be as nuts as you want to be. But, we got Mark Hamill, Kevin Conroy. These guys made that series.
Yep.
And I hate to say that that those two outshined everything else in that series, because there were some really good.
No.
There were some good episodes that
Tara Strong was really strong. No pun intended. She was. She mainly did Batgirl in the animated series, but she also voiced Harley in other films.
Mm-hmm.
And that show had some really good writing. It had some good episodes outside of just those two. Now, some of the best ones were certainly ones with both of them or either of them. But
it wasn't Harley Quinn a product of the animated series, or
she was created specifically for it by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini.
And then the comic books took it and said, we're going to run with this, and now she's a part of the movies now. So
first time ever.
That should tell you that something like animated series. I mean, because I can't think of Joker without Harley Quinn now because of the animated series, because of the way they work together and their psychosis, though in a way different, melded together very well.
I just want to say that Hoff Solo just said, I think we should put all superhero movies on hold until the SJW wave inevitably ends in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Don't give in.
Yeah, I know. That's really tempting. Okay. So what made the animated series such a hit? Was it the drawing? Was it the writing? Was it the voice actors? Or was it just this unbelievable culmination of all of it together?
I think that's it.
I think it was he was saying all of that, but also, again, like when I was a kid, if I wanted to watch any kind of cartoons or anything like that, even Superman or whatever like that, it's normally bright.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also,
Batman is dark.
Yeah, but let's also remember that Batman the Animated Series was created specifically because of Michael Keaton's Batman movies.
Yeah, and they made it also to be dark. That's one of the things that they made it to be dark and like edgy and things like that. And they took it to a new place. The bad guys had guns that they were shooting. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I'm saying? And this guy was just a guy. He could die.
Also,
people got shot. People
That's true. And this wasn't geared just for kids. It premiered and it was in prime time on Fox.
Mhm.
It got second best. Hold on, I had it here. Oh, where was it? Batman the Animated Series. Where was it? I know it got some awards. I was just looking at this.
And I mean, the fact that they continue to
Okay.
make, I mean, okay, so put it this way: if you look at a lot of the people who have ranked the movies,
Okay, can I just say this?
they're ranking the movies, you know, all of them, movies, you know, live action, not live action. One of the best ones is the was it Mask of the Phantasm?
Yes.
Yes.
That was
still-
a spring off of the animated series.
Yeah, and that is still, I think the last time I looked, still considered the number one movie as far as Batman.
And it was a theater release movie too.
Exactly.
It wasn't direct to
And
video.
that's the thing. It's like you think about that. An animated series that came after 89's Batman, which was a smash hit, is still considered by a lot of people who rank these movies as the number one movie. So I mean, they did that for us, you know.
Definitely.
What were you going to say, Vase?
I was just saying, like, I had it pulled up here. IGN.com listed Batman. Now IGN listed Batman the Animated Series as the best adaptation of Batman anywhere outside of the comics, the best comic book television show of all time, and the second best animated series of all time after The Simpsons. Wizard Magazine also ranked it number 2 greatest animated series of all time, again after The Simpsons. TV Guide ranked it the 7th greatest cartoon of all time. And it won 4 Emmy Awards, including Outstanding Animated Program.
I mean, yeah, and you think about it, it's still, and this is the key. It wasn't designed for kids, but it wasn't not designed for kids. It was designed for fans of Batman. This is source material. Take the source material and be honest to it and be true to it, and you're going to get that type of reaction.
You can say things and show things to kids, including killing and death, without being graphic about it, and you can still make it compelling. I mean, that's what The Lion King is. I mean, kids, you know, things die, you know, and like you can show things and make it compelling both to like adults and children, and I think they did an excellent job of that.
And you know,
and it had the compelling villains. It had all the Batman villains. That's exactly the thing. Like, again, you have those most compelling villains, and with an animated series, when you have it like that, kind of, you can, you know, one episode into another episode into another episode.
You got somebody working on one episode while another person's working on another episode, and you know, and if this guy draws Joker better, you hand those cells over to him. Here, draw your Joker, and that's all you're doing. You got like 13 people doing 15 episodes at one time, and they have a series ready. I mean, the first season of Batman the Animated Series had like 50 plus episodes to it.
I don't think so.
Oh yeah, I was looking it up today because hold on, let me see here.
Because there were only 2 seasons of the animated series before it went to the new Batman and Robin adventures, or the Adventures of Batman, something like that.
Hold on, let me see here. I'm looking it up. Okay, 56.
Yeah, there's a total number of episodes is 85.
But it says here, so season 1. Okay, so the final 5 episodes of season 1 were held back until September 1993. Episodes 1 through 20.
65.
Yeah, it was 65. Oh, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The first season, and they had like 5 seasons of it or something like.
There were 4. But there were only 2 seasons of this iteration.
But still, but like you said, they did a really good job of morphing it around. So even though it may have changed, you still had some of the same writers, the same people drawing and things like that. And Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, I think up until just not too long ago, stopped doing it, right?
No, they're still doing it.
Are they still doing it? Because I know I heard rumors, but that's the thing. You got these 2 voice actors that will stay with it. And I know even villains, a lot of the same voice actors are still doing it. Why? Because you did such a great job. Mm-hmm. So even though it's a reiteration or a new version of it, you still got the same people. So it's amazing. And you can do that with voice acting. That's the good thing about it, is you can do that with voice acting. It doesn't matter what you look like here because somebody's drawing you.
Exactly.
You don't age.
In fact, they're coming out, I think, later this year. They're doing the animated movie Batman Hush. And you know, Kevin Conroy is to my knowledge, he's going to be voicing that as well. And Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill came back. I think it was last year for The Killing Joke.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it was before last year.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was, that I love that movie, and I know Sean, you're not a big fan of that one.
I think first of all, The Killing Joke is too short to make a movie out of, so that's why they had to do that beginning drama with Batgirl.
Yeah.
That part was just kind of for me.
Well, you see, what I like about it is it does kind of give us an origin story, but then again, I do like the fact that Joker, on many occasions in the animated series, says, I've forgotten where I came from. I just pick something and go with it, because that makes it such a more appealing character as somebody that doesn't even want to let you know who he is. He is,
and then, at least when you're fighting someone like your ultimate villain, your penultimate villain, it's like at least you understand why he's doing these things. That's the thing with the Joker; you never do.
Because he doesn't have a reason. And I think that's the thing about Heath Ledger. Why is he doing it?
Yeah, he doesn't. He's just to chaos. He literally says at one point when he's like, "What do you like?" The one guy's like, "What do you going to do with all your money?" And he's like, and then he sets it all on fire. And he's like, "I think this town deserves a better class of criminal, and I'm going to give it to him." And what he means by that is just like, all you care about is money.
Mm-hmm. All I care about is chaos. I care about making people not know why I'm doing it. And that's great. Okay. Before we run out of too much time here, because I want to be as close to the hour as possible, but we go over sometimes. Let's talk this Robert Pattinson Batman. And I don't know how many people saw the clickbait. I was on a stream the other day.
Yeah.
Actually, I was doing karaoke.
Nice.
Check out Mary Mayhem's channel for that. Actually, Tom from Midnight's Edge, he saw it really quick, I think, before we went on. And he said, "Oh, look, it looks like Robert Pattinson's pulling out because he has scheduling conflicts." And then he comes back and says, "No, it was clickbait." He says, "No, it's some other movie he's pulling out of." And I don't know, part of me was like, okay, all right, at least there's some hope. I don't doubt that Robert Pattinson can pull it off, but I'm with Sean on this. I think he's more of the Batman Beyond than
Terry McGinnis, yeah.
Terry. I believe that's more what he is than Bruce Wayne. I mean, and Vase, you seem pretty confident that he can pull a Bruce Wayne version of Batman off.
Once you started saying the other stuff, I think a lot of people are thinking of him as like Twilight or like Cedric Diggory. And there's a lot of movie magic that you can do. And when I say that, I mean like Tom Cruise appears to be tall to most people. Yeah, so like if it's that,
stand him on a box, yes, he's tall.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
I know what you're talking about.
And Gandalf standing next to Frodo looked like a freaking giant, but
13 feet away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
These are
Sean and I went, we took film appreciation class and stuff like this, and yeah, it's amazing what you can do. But I'm still thinking.
Now you shouldn't have to do that in the case of Batman. Ideally you cast someone who is much like the character, so you don't have to do any of that stuff.
But do you think the Batman Beyond version? Because here's my thought, and I'm not sure about Sean, but Batman Beyond would make it so you're basically telling everybody out there, we're cutting our ties with Batman the way you saw it with Ben Affleck. We're going to cut our ties and we're jumping forward, because even Ben Affleck's Batman, you're given the idea with the fact that you have the Jason Todd was what, the second or the third Robin? Sean?
Jason Todd?
Yeah,
he was a second Robin, I believe.
Okay, so it's a second Robin. So you're already given the idea that one, Jason Todd's dead. You assume that that's his outfit in the movie. Or let me put it this way: I assumed that was his outfit in the movie. And when you see that, you think that this is quite a lot farther along than other Batmans. He's in the end, in the twilight of his career. If you go forward, and even if they bring Ben Affleck back, fine, bring Ben Affleck back for 5 seconds to do it or whatever. But if you need a character on screen for the whole movie to be Bruce Wayne, I agree with Sean on this. Bring Michael Keaton back.
He's perfect. And if you've seen Batman Beyond, then you know that like the Batman in that is this old, angry, bitter, like more bitter, even more bitter because like he can't even do what he's supposed his only mission anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Just
and he has to rely on this kid.
Bitter man. And like Keaton could just like but there's still humor there. Like he's not like and Keaton is so perfect for that, as displayed as his turn in Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I think that's a perfect example of how he can kind of get that like menacing. Now in that case, he was playing a villain and he did it perfectly. But I think going back to Batman and like playing that role. Now my only question, and I think it would be great. I think Pattinson could definitely do a Terry McGinnis style thing. What? I mean, I actually think that would be a really good idea.
Hoff here, Hoff Solo put in the chat. He said Robert Pattinson will be a fine Batman. It's the story and the director I'm more concerned about. And I will say that there's a good chance that even if you just stick with Batman, there's a chance that as long as the story and as long as the director are good, that it'll work out. But I think you are in a safer bet to completely cut ties with what Batman has been in the movies and usher in the next phase of what most of what the cartoons did, because it was a natural progression to move forward and give you something new and a new perspective of it and freshen it up. And I think that if they did that in the movie version, and one, you can always go back to Batman, but two, it gives you another perspective on screen, something we haven't seen.
Yeah, and you can do more crazy stuff with the suits. You can do more crazy stuff with like future technology. You can make a lot more of a green screen. I know how much they love to do that stuff. Like, I don't think people would even mind because some of that stuff that they do in like Batman Beyond is just nuts. Like,
yeah,
their villains are like people giving themselves like the bio shots and everything like that. The Joker gangs and stuff like that. So like that influence that the Joker has had on that city, even however many years later, like his. And then when they like bring him back to, oh man.
Yeah, they could even do like the Return of the Joker storyline if they wanted to.
Yeah,
I mean, nuts to jump into that straight off the get-go, but
yeah, it would. But if you do it like maybe 2.5 hour movie, and if you connect it to the Tim Burton Batman, where even if it is with the Joker falling off the building in '89, there could have been in like however many years they want to say passed in the movie universe, there could have been a rise in the Joker inspiring the criminal underbelly of the city.
You were saying Macaulay Culkin was rumored possibly to be playing the Joker in the next one. So let's say we go with that. Okay, the Joker did die, and you're bouncing off of Tim Burton's version. You could have somebody so deranged that they idolize the Joker so much that they make themselves that entity of it, that it continues on. And that Batman has that one because maybe this person's so deranged that when Terry McGinnis shows up as the new Batman, that guess what? This person feels, oh, I have to be this Joker because if Batman's around, there has to be a Joker because that's how it always was.
But that's not how it was in the Return of the Joker.
No, it wasn't. But I'm just saying you could do that, but I mean, because it just depends. I mean, but there's lots of storylines there though. If you go with the Batman,
well, no, that would give the Joker the established background of only existing because of Batman. You know what I mean? Like, oh, if there's a Batman, then there has to be a Joker. Maybe, unless you're saying like everyone, like a bunch of people started like.
No, I would say one person. Like if they were to get Macaulay Culkin, you could just make it that this person so deranged had such a knew because it's Gotham, so you know about the past villains, you knew about this stuff, and then this person just kind of was deranged in their own right and idolized this one villain, this one person because they thought, oh, look at this guy. This guy was,
Right, Kylo Ren.
Yeah, well, okay, fine. You want to put a bad of a twist on it, fine. But okay. But the thing is that somebody that idolized somebody so much that they made themselves that person, and then when a new Batman showed up, they're like, "Well, hell, I can't let this happen." And boom, you have the same thing, like you said, Batman. Well, and I mean, Jack Nicholson says it. Well, you know, you say I created you, but you know, you created me. I mean, so hey, come on, let's, you know, and it's that thing. It's like it's which came first, chicken or the egg, and that's a constant story between Batman and the Joker. And I don't know. I mean, you know, Joker was not the first villain, if I remember right. I think it was Scarecrow, was it not?
For
Sean,
the comic books?
I can't remember.
No, or Joker came way before Scarecrow.
Okay, but who was the first one in the comic books? Was it before was Joker one of the first, or was he the first?
I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah,
It was Dr. Death
okay.
in Detective Comics 29, 1939.
I say Detective Comics, but
Yeah, and
let's see. The first well-known Batman villain was Dr. Hugo Strange from issue 36 in 1940.
Yeah,
and the Joker soon followed in Batman #1, 1940.
Okay, so
2 years after Batman was created.
So I mean, so he's always been there, and the thing is it's this constant. He is the most well-known villain.
Yes.
And so if you're going to launch off into a new platform or a new version of Batman, it would be nice to have at least a new version of Joker. And however they want to come about doing that, they could. But I mean, if
I don't know. I mean, my whole stance on the Batman thing is that so over the past 30 years, we've had like 5 actors play Batman and Bruce Wayne. I think maybe it's time to give Bruce Wayne the back seat a little bit, because I think that the character deserves a chance to be wanted and needed on the screen again. Since there is a Terry McGinnis, even though the masses don't know him as much as they know Bruce Wayne, I think that there is a whole lot more to explore with Terry McGinnis. Because if you go with Bruce Wayne, they're going to, even though he has like one of the most, even though he has like the biggest villain collection in all of comics, they're going to still keep beating the same villains over and over and over. That's just how Hollywood has been doing. And because the rumor is in the Batman, they're going to do like 5 villains. Among them is going to be Penguin and Catwoman. So it's like, Batman Returns again. Yeah. But if you go Batman or Batman Beyond, there's a whole new roster of villains that have never seen the big screen before.
And also with Terry McGinnis, it almost brings an aspect of Spider-Man into it, in that like you've got this younger guy who potentially still lives at home, and I don't know how the young they're trying to play it in this, or like how but like in Batman Beyond, he still lived at home. He was still in like high school when he was doing this stuff. So it's like, wait, we have a high school Batman who still has parents to worry about, and like this kind of, or like I think his parents were born, but like I forget.
His dad was killed, and
right, by the Joker gang. There we go. Right. And so, but he still has family left. Like he has a brother. He has his mom. He has like friends at school and stuff like that. These are things that like Batman has never ever traditionally had.
Yeah, this would be sort of like kind of like Spider-Man, in high school type of vibe. And I think that's kind of cool. We've never seen Batman like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it'd be cool. Hey, the Lonely Banter joined us. What's up, LB?
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah, hey, LB, how you doing? And go ahead and ask him, Sean, if he wants to go on the Wheel of Names too. I don't think I have him on there yet, but if he wants to get on the Wheel of Names, which we will be spinning here before too much longer, see if he wants to get on there, and we'll have him on an episode. I think you were talking about not the Bruce Wayne thing being explored and all that, Sean. And do you think that they should just have Bruce Wayne in a short part of like a Batman Beyond, or do you think they should have him throughout the whole thing?
Well, the whole thing with Batman Beyond is that Terry McGinnis would not be doing it without Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is very much
brain is still there, but
well, yeah, he's just physically impaired. He can't become Batman anymore. He's very much the Oracle of Batman Beyond, and so you need Bruce Wayne working the comms and working the Bat computer and stuff. From the Batcave to work along with Terry, because Terry is still very, very, very green. And so he learns a lot from Bruce along the way. And if there's anybody listening that has not checked out the Batman Beyond TV cartoon series and the comic books, man, you need to do yourself a favor and you need to binge watch it and read it, because it is fantastic.
Totally agree.
And I mean, with that said, I mean, do we think that would be a better way to go? It's something new. It's never been explored as far as live action goes. I'm looking at this for DC. It's a fresh perspective to a series that people will go watch.
Yeah, I think that since there is some turmoil in the DCEU right now, I think that if you wanted to say, Batman Beyond is on another Earth, with like whatever Earth you want to say the Michael Keaton universe took place in, I think it's a chance to still do Batman, and you have an established Bruce Wayne with Keaton that you could connect to its own universe, and you could still have Batman and tell Batman stories while you structure what's going to happen in the main universe.
Yeah. So. Well, Vase, he went to another land himself, so we'll go ahead and talk about this real quick. We'll get him back on here, and we will have him sign off and tell us about his channel and everything. But while we're waiting, we're going to go ahead and switch over here to the Wheel of Names, and I will go ahead and present this real quick, and we'll do this while we're waiting for Vase. So this is what we do to pick next week's contestant on the Gospel According to Chris, or the next panelist or guest. So we've got all these names right here. We're going to spin, and wherever it lands, that is next week's contestant, unless it is somebody we have to schedule with. There are some people there. So Vase, this is our Wheel of Names, and we're going to spin it right now, and then we will go ahead and get to outros and let you talk about your channel one more time. So here we go, guys. We're going to spin this.
Hold on, Chris.
There you go.
And it is Angus from Angus Reviews, Black Angus. We will talk with him. He's one of those guys we might have to reschedule, but he will be on a soon and upcoming episode of the Gospel According to Chris. If we need to pick somebody else for next week, we will announce that on Twitter, and we'll let you know. It'll probably just be somebody like, I don't know. We'll pull somebody from the group that we know and bring them in. So that is the Wheel of Names. The Wheel of Names has spoken. All hail the Wheel of Names.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Hey, you know what? Anyways, Vase, why don't you go ahead and tell the lovely people who you are, where they can find you, and about your channel, please.
Well, I'm Vase, and the next time you'll be able to find me is on Hoff Solo's channel every Wednesday night, starting last week. But every Wednesday night at 7, we have the weekly showcase with Hoff and Vase. So make sure you stop by Hoff Solo's channel and check that out on Wednesday. And also, on Wednesday, I'll probably also be premiering one of the things that I normally do on my channel, which are trailer mashups and things like that. I've been doing a lot of Batman ones, as we talked about. I've also done some Star Wars one. The next one coming out is Lord of the Rings, Godzilla style. So look for that on Wednesday.
Awesome. That's great. Well, as always, the other half of the Real Review 3000, who has been past few weeks and occasionally here and there, he's been the on-air moderator and also a commentator, somebody that adds some insight, especially to a topic like tonight. That was Sean Stackhouse. He comes in here and helps me out, checking out the chat, talking to the chat. If I can't get in there, kind of makes it good so we can stay on topic and stuff. Go check him out at Sean Stackhouse Reacts. That's where you can find him. And then here we are. This is the Real Review 3000. We thank you all. Please do us a favor. Go subscribe to It's a Vase Productions. Make sure you do that. Check out his videos. He's got some great insight and the way he does things. I mean, your insight and your perspective on things that it gives new life to it. And that's great. And so go check out his channel. Subscribe to him. Make sure you subscribe here. If you watch today and you are not subscribed, please like the video. We really greatly appreciate that. And that's how we do things here at the Gospel According to Chris. Thank you, everybody. Everybody say goodbye.
Also, before we say goodbye, remember to hit that bell so you're notified.
Right.
All right.
Check that bell out so you know whenever we're doing new stuff, and do that on Vase's channel too. So, guys, take it easy.